Okay. I'm bike. And today I'm going to be talking about a little bit of how the subconscious mind works. Now, y'all know I've been into my studies and I've recently enrolled into a program where it makes it a lot easier for me to structure exactly what it is that I'd like to be speaking on and also how to help others. Now that's just a little sidebar, but I'm going to get into what I'm going to get into now. So how the subconscious mind works. A lot of times we hear people talking about, in order to change your life, you got to do this, do that, do this, and a third. But usually that ends up with us having an idea and then we take the first steps, but we never follow through. And so often that whole change the things you do becomes like debunked, because when people try new things, the results are kind of short term and it leads to a whole lot of the same old thing. So how is it that we can make changes that actually have a lasting effect on our lives? And this is where the subconscious mind comes in, because it's not the outer world, it's not the things that we do externally that affect our realities. It's what happens internally. It's the programs and the paradigms. And when the programs change, that's when the reality, the paradigms change. And so I kind of want to get into what the hell is that? What is the programs? So essentially, when we are ages 0 to 7, our brains are in super learning mode. It's called alpha state, where our prefrontal cortex isn't yet developed. So basically, this part of our brain that helps with rationalizing things and logic, it's not yet developed. So we have no veil. All we do is absorb information, everything from language to behaviors to images, sounds, same thing like language and behavior. So what we see and hear, all of that becomes absorbed, and we get this information, especially from the models around us. So that could be our parents, our teachers, our siblings, our environment. Like if you grew up in a hood versus if you grew up in a neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like the different nuances of your environment, those models, they help to shape all of the information that you take in. And so before age 7, this part of our brain is fully active and fully absorbing. And it creates, the subconscious mind, that portion of our brain, it creates a program, like it runs on a loop. So we take in what has been given to us, and that becomes our reality because it's what we've known. And the thing about it is that learning time locks in around 7. So what we have accumulated up until that point becomes what it is for us, because at that 7 to 8 stage we develop our rational thinking mind. And to me, that's why the super learning stops, because we start to be able to filter, to question information, to reject certain information. So then, you are now on a program that runs over and over. And programs are great, because with programs, which I often hear people talking about bad, eliminate the program, dodge the hijack, which is it's like the universal law of polarity. There are positive and negative aspects of all things, right? Especially if they legit. If I like to say, if they're divine, then there's going to be a positive and a negative aspect of it. So programs, we hear about how terrible they can be and how you don't want no programs that you ain't choose, but there are a lot of programs that we didn't choose that help us out a lot, like the program to walk. We seen people walking around us and we knew we had to get up and get going, so we do that. The program to, if you were in siblings or placed around a lot of kids, the program to socialize, so you know how to interact except for, outside of just yourself, we have the program to to blow on hot food that we see is steaming before we put it in our mouth so we don't get burnt. Now that's going to either happen from trauma, or it's going to happen because we see those people who are seemingly more intelligent than us, like the big sisters, the parents, the teachers. We see them doing that smart stuff, and so we be like, okay, that looks like it's going to be something that I'm going to incorporate. Subconsciously, we make these decisions, and when they work out, that becomes part of our program. So programs can be super beneficial, but then you also run the risk of like, well, what if I was never programmed how to listen, how to manage my emotions carefully, how to interact with others, how to create a reality instead of react to one that was given to me? Or what if I was programmed with a fixed mindset, meaning things are what they are, instead of a growth mindset, meaning things can develop and evolve and change, including myself, right? Like, I'm not locked into a certain aspect. Like, for the longest time, I thought that I do not speak well in front of others. I am not a public speaker. I had terrible, what I didn't know at the time was possibly anxiety, but I just like to call that nerves, you know. Either or, this or that, you know, whatever you decide. But like, I was not great at it. And I just thought of myself as a person who is not great at it. But look at me now. After deciding that my desire to do something was greater than what I thought was limiting me, I made the decision to start working on speaking in front of people more often and sharing my thoughts and feelings. Because, I mean, one of the things I thought wasn't good about me speaking was that I wouldn't be understood, or that what I had to say wasn't interesting. But changing my thoughts about myself and that I can do things and then making them become a reality. Now look at me. Hey, friend, we talking. Okay, so let's get back to it. So these programs, they can be great, and not having certain programs can be a deterrent, but the point is that you can change things, right? So yeah, like if you were to grow up and you only saw that relationships are hard, and this doesn't have to be like verbally beaten into you, but if you always seen people lying, you also always saw deceit, you saw pain, you saw arguments within the household, or then people that you trusted who were in these seemingly relationships, you would start to think like, oh shit, every time I see somebody in a relationship, that shit look bad. And so then you would think that, dang, all relationships are bad. These are things that are hard. So if you want to get into a relationship, you better be ready, because this shit is difficult, right? Or on the flip, because I do want to mention this, you could be somebody who grew up who only saw examples, or who mostly filled their mind of examples of relationships that are fairly easy. You know, you want something, they have a conversation, and then magically everybody comes together and it's this whole great amazing thing. But the reality is sometimes, you know, people are going through their own things, and like real relationships take a little bit of understanding and compassion and listening and effectively communicating and messages being received and deciding to agree or agree to disagree. You know, like it's more complicated than the, I don't like this, let me say it, and then that's it, it's gonna be in my favor. Like things are more difficult. But then you get into the real world and you see these, and then you see relationships take more, then it could like shatter your entire belief about relationships, and now you don't even know how to navigate them because all you saw growing up was that they are one way. So back to the lesson. The thing though about it is that just because you see something as one way doesn't mean it is the same in all situations. You know, like just because the way that you experienced a relationship in your household doesn't mean that all relationships are this one way, because in fact there are many different nuances of the way that relationships happen and that people interact with each other. And so not being stuck in a fixed mindset, having a growth mindset, knowing that things can change and that there's room for more and different things, that is key. Because you have to believe that there is a possibility for something more, you know? And that's where we get into this whole that is how we get into using the subconscious mind to change your reality, to create your reality. And I want to not get this confused with the whole force your thing. This is more of a power thing. So we often see like people use their willpower on the New Year's Eve resolution thing, and then the things only last like 2 weeks. When you use the subconscious mind to change the program, you then become able to relax into what you believe. And because you surrender to what you believe, the world around you starts to form into what it is, that perception that you have already in your mind. And so the big question is like, okay, well, how do I change my subconscious mind? You have to do what we call the inner work, okay? And there are many modalities to doing the inner work. The inner work can be simply relaxing into a belief, meditating, hypnosis. And we'll get into that in later terms, but I really wanted to just touch on how the subconscious mind really influences your reality. Because, stiff here, y'all. Grease this bob, okay? I'm gonna let y'all know. So the subconscious mind really has an impact on your everyday reality. So there are neuropsychologists who have done some research and been able to study the energy emitted from our brains and our hearts, that they go out into our energetic field, our magnetic field, and they change the world around us, right? So what you think has an effect on what is happening. And the programs that you are instilled with from ages 0 to 7, unless you decide to change them, those thoughts will have an impact on what you perceive, because you open your mind will be set on seeing certain aspects of the world, when all things are honestly existing at all times. Because you perceive the world in a certain way, what you think will be what you continue to see. So it will perpetuate the beliefs that you have. And then the thoughts and the beliefs that you have an impact on your feelings. And it is your heart that sends out the vibrations that magnetize things into your field. So you will attract what it is that you think and feel into your life, helping to become your reality. And they've also found out that within our DNA exists biophotons that essentially have an effect on our environment as well. So in the same way that you could go out and somebody will feel your presence as you walk into a room, essentially your DNA is sending out light, aka information, to them energetically that they pick up, that informs them about who you are. And this is based on what you have activated through your programming, right? Through your subconscious mind. So doing inner work, fixing the things, or not fixing, but I would like to say growing the aspects of you, maturing them, like from that fixed state, from that part that locked in around 7 years old, going into those situations asking why this is like this, why I believe it, how can I change it, how can I make what I desire align with my beliefs. Going into your subconscious mind and doing that work, shadow work, inner work, and you are coming to these realizations, or at least coming to these new beliefs, this new being. And because of that, you bypass the doing thing and instead become the beer. Like, you become that person that is good at relationships, because instead of thinking that they have to go a certain way, you instead think about the relationship that you have with yourself and how that in turn affects how you react and listen and communicate and have compassion for other people. So now the relationships that you have with other people are like 3 bajillion times better, because you have that understanding, because you've done that work internally, because you've understood where things kind of got skewed as you were a child, and you opened up your mind to the possibility of you being in a better position within that reality, within the realm of your relationships, you know? So this can be for your relationships, for your career, Now I'm good at personal speaking, now I can run a business presentation. Now I can run a business, period. Like, now I am a businesswoman because I started doing business things, because I started to think and believe that I can. Then I started to do those things. Like, the doing happens after you become open to the possibility, and the possibility comes once you start to do the internal work to change the programs that you were installed with. Because we as human, we are essentially like bioorganic computers, okay? We run on certain systems and programs, all of it being intelligence, right? But if you were given only a certain amount of information, you must be open, or not must, I don't know how it'll happen, but when you become open to overriding and bypassing and updating those programs so that you are so that more is available to you in your reality, then you have the power, by changing those programs within you, to see the world differently, for the world to start to be attracting different things to you, for you to actively begin to create situations in your life instead of being at the behest. I don't know if that's the word, but at the dependence of how other people create in your world. Like, I always thought it was funny how people say bad kids do that, and I be thinking, like, bad kids, they be doing what they want to do. They have like internally some form of power that says, I can do this. And a lot of us who think they're bad have to deal with what they've done, right? Now, a lot of time bad kids come from like a state of unconsciousness, so they're not necessarily choosing to hurt you, they're choosing to do what they like. But imagine if we could consciously choose what we would like for ourselves, what that would look like for those around us. Because as you change, like these bad kids, your reality also changes, including the people around you. Because like those biophotons, they're going to spark light in other people, or the light will be too bright for the people who you are not meant to be around at that time. And all of this starts with beginning the process of reprogramming your subconscious mind. Because I forgot to say this part, but the subconscious mind is like the key autopilot pilot. It is the commander in your unconsciousness. So all of the things that you don't have to think about, like breathing, like tying your shoes, like driving after a while through repetition. Ooh, I'm gonna get into how we do this in another video. Y'all, I'll be talking about these other videos that are coming up. And I mean it, but time don't work the same way over here, okay? So just know that when it happens, it's supposed to, okay? So anyways, by doing all of this internal stuff, we have the ability to change the external. I know I was talking about something before I segued into these upcoming videos. Okay, it was changing how to change the subconscious mind. I'm gonna just say it real quick. Repetition, trauma, symbolism, okay? That's it. When you start to do those things, you can change the subconscious mind, but also through your nervous system. We will get into that as well, because when it links, it syncs, and we can make our bodies and our minds relax into certain beliefs and become in sync with them. So we're going to get into that another time as well. But y'all, be on the lookout. It's like, nah, this is not about the video. This is about the information. I want you to know that you can change your reality by changing your subconscious mind, okay? This is just the beginning, but it starts with you being open, and that is my greatest desire, because I know that most of us live in a place where we think that we are stuck, and I gotta tell y'all, I am like instead of being like a caged bird, I become like a caged a caged rat. Like, I will jump, I will attack. I gotta break free, okay? You're not about to cage me. And sometimes it be me caging me, but the point is, feeling stuck in a certain part of life is like one of my versions of hell. I can't stand it. I'm a growing being. So when I feel stagnant, when I feel like things aren't progressing, it grinds my fucking gears, okay? So for you, if you experience this in life, if you have a goal, if you just know that the reality you live in is not for you, like when I was young, me and my friends used to be like, this working shit, not for me. know is ghetto, like if you know that the place that you are in right now is not for you and you haven't yet found the tools of how to change that, the first step is being open to the possibility that it can happen. The next step is getting into your subconscious mind and making those subtle changes that have the biggest and most lasting effect on your material reality, okay? So I will just leave y'all with that for now, because I'm like, like, you never know when the next video is gonna come. So in the meantime, just prepare by getting really clear about what it is you do want and what it is you don't want, and be open to the boundless possibilities that are available to us in this amazing world, this divine universe, okay? So that's it. That's all I got for y'all today. It's so much love, okay? Like in my last videos, I was talking about like what we call ourselves. I still don't know after all this time, but I'm open to that coming very naturally and to me very clearly. So in the meantime, still so much love, so much information, so much awareness of ourselves, healing ourselves. We've thrown that coping shit out of the way until we're ready for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if you need it, you need it, okay? But I'm here for the healing. I'm here for the awareness of ourselves, because when we become better, like I said, everything around us becomes better, and they don't even gotta know about it. They just gonna be influenced by the power within you, okay? I just love that so much. Like, yeah. So with that being said, y'all know that I am terrible at goodbye. So in the meantime, peace.